So honestly, what do you think? Like the hockey hair or the clean cut? What do you think, Paul?
Hockey hair is better. Clean cut's bad. Hey everyone, how's it
Welcome, Katie.
going? I like to come in with an entrance. What can I say?
You sure do. Clean cut rule, says Paul. I love it.
Paul.
Hey, Katie, you were the one telling me about the short hair, okay? So
I know.
you
Some
can't
may
change
say
now that
I've
it's cut.
instigated this. Oh my gosh, I love seeing so many amazing people in here. Hey, Beth, Dustin. There's a few I don't know. This is really exciting. How's it going, everyone?
Hockey hair during playoffs. I love it. I guess you could say last year was one big playoff. Oh, that's awesome. Well, hey, so now that we have the wonderful Katie Ray here, it's time to chat sequences. So with that in mind, we have good news, bad news situation. The good news is we have amazing sequences to run through today. In fact, we have several people on our webinar right now who submitted their sequences, and I'm just so impressed. Like Katie, we've been doing this for a while now, and the quality of the submissions this time were just so good that I'm really excited to talk about them. But unfortunately, Josh is under the weather today, so he couldn't make it. He was actually not feeling so great yesterday and tried really hard to make it today, but he just can't. So hopefully we're going to be having him at a future session. Yeah, sorry, there's some renos going on in my house right now. Can you hear that, Katie?
A little bit. I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay, got to call it out. But that's okay. We, Katie and I have you covered. We have a lot of great things to say about your sequences. But before we start, I'm going to give you an example of what a hyper-personalized email might look like to just kick things off. So it would have been a lot more fun if I had done this, with Josh here. But here, so for those who know, does anybody here on the chat know about Fire Talks?
Yes, right? People are writing yes.
Okay, perfect. So Josh was on Fire Talks. So for anybody who doesn't know, it's an event that's hosted regularly where a bunch of sales leaders end up, eating the worst stuff with crazy hot sauce and, talk sales. So one time I watched Josh on Fire Talks and he had the worst time with the fire sauce. And so I went ahead and decided to write this fun email to him to get him as a guest on Sequence Practice. And basically, Katie, I'd love you to review this email for me. So what are your thoughts on what I wrote here?
Well, it's horrible. Just kidding. Now that I know it's you, I have to be nice.
No,
so...
be harsh. Come on. I'm the critic. I can be critiqued.
I like it. Well, what my first thing would be is it's a little long. But I also think every email is too long. But also, yeah. I personally struggle with writing super long emails. So it's a very challenging cycle I'm in. I would love to see in the chat if you agree with this. So just yes or no, or like put poop emojis if you disagree, because that's like a thing I say is just poop on it. But or like don't poop on my parade. But the last paragraph, you're asking two different things. So why don't you have two different questions, right? So it's like, what do you do to minimize your reps' rejection? They're called outbound sequences. And are you open to sharing your secrets with others as a guest on my monthly event, Sequence Practice? So I think it's just interesting because it's like, is this like a negotiation tactic where it's like you're asking for one thing and, oh, well, if they don't respond to this, like surely they'll respond to the other? Or is it like, I'm trying to sweeten the pot a little bit by offering you this opportunity to speak on my show. And so like, maybe you should let me write
Yeah,
for your
no, and thank you so much, Katie, for catching the trap. The parts that I thought that you would like were the first
I do
couple
like those. Oh yeah, good
sentences.
things. I like the first two.
Yeah.
I like those.
And the third one, it literally breaks a rule that we talk about all the time. How many things per email, Katie?
One call to action each.
One. Yeah, just one. So sometimes we write fantastically personalized emails that make people laugh, and then we still manage to put things in there that just don't fit.
Yeah.
Right? With that said, though, what do you think? Would you? I'd love a panel. Would you respond to this if you were Josh?
Of course. Oh, I like Buddy's question. What if they don't minimize the rep's rejection? Oh, can you throw that back up? Okay.
Yeah, just
also, I'm not blind, but I feel like I always have to look really close to the computer. So I'm so sorry, everyone, if my face is too much in your virtual face. I'm only partially blind. Okay. So he can combine the ask. Yeah, I agree. Can combine the ask of the last paragraph. What if they don't minimize? Yeah, you're kind of making an assumption. That's a really good point, buddy. Right? Is like, what do you do to minimize your rep's rejection? But I also feel like statistically speaking, like there's numbers out there to prove that every rep is getting rejected in some form or fashion, right? I don't think that's an assumption. Interesting.
Yeah, well, okay, so realistically, anybody who's just content with where they are in their sequences is just not necessarily, they may not have the right leadership above them, or they may just be in the best job ever. Because everybody out there, myself, Katie, like everybody that does this knows we're always trying to continually get better and grow and get better responses each time. So realistically, if you're not trying to minimize your reps rejection, then you should. And if you don't think about that already, if you're not doing it and you really haven't thought that maybe you should, this is a great way to kind of open that concept up to somebody and make them think, maybe I should be doing this.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, fair assumption. I agree, Ashley. Good.
Good questions all around. So with that in mind, let's jump right through to our first sequence review. So this is a very straightforward sequence. It's for construction general managers, 4 steps over 14 days, and it is pure email. So first one's manual and the rest are auto. So let's take a look. So Katie, you'll be our special guest today. So I'll treat you like our special guest.
Thanks, everyone.
So okay.
Well, I'm kind of curious what the audience thinks. What do y'all think? Do you think that you should have phone calls in prospecting sequences or should not have phone calls in prospecting sequences? Yes. Okay.
Paul's a huge cold caller. Of course he's going to say yes.
Depends on the campaign. I like that.
Yeah.
It's a must, surely. I agree, right? Okay, so that's the first thing that, like, if it's an all email sequence, is it a prospecting campaign at that point, or is it a marketing nurturing sequence?
Right.
My recent activity is also related to construction. Looks like the market, like for me, I feel like that's really awkward. My recent, like that just doesn't make sense. So I was wondering if this has affected the amount of downtime and rework. If it was me, I would totally nix the first sentence.
Yep.
And then I would add like some specific statistic in the second. So it looks like the market situation started to change in 2021. How? Right? And then ask the question. I wouldn't have the second paragraph as it is. Like I asked because we work with technical oversight and communication processes at the site. I would be curious. I would A/B test that versus a different second paragraph around like just saying what we do differently, right? Like people have been using companies like ours to do this, this, and this or something, right? Just I would just A/B test that differently. If this sounds relevant to your situation, saving budget. They don't even talk about saving budget early on, right? So it's like you're bringing in two different points that should be two different emails.
Right.
Let me know and I'll send you more detailed information.
So you're talking like, so what I'm reading from this is that you've got
is that I can't make complete sentences. Yes.
Hey, I'm not critiquing. No, when I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that there's a couple different premises in this email, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you're going to talk downtime, that's a huge problem in its own right. Right? Just downtime by itself, and what is the result of that downtime? Like what are the things, what are the consequences of having downtime?
Exactly. Yeah. So I would separate this into two emails, and I would have the first paragraph, maybe like I would A/B test having the first paragraph the same in A, the second paragraph being geared towards the effective downtime on construction sites. And then, whatever the last sentence, whatever, right? And then on email B, I would have the first paragraph the same, but restructure the question to, has the affected amount of downtime changed how you look at your company's budget on projects or something around that, right? And then have the second paragraph geared towards saving money on projects, and see what would be best, what's more important to your customer, and then take it from there. Because what if they don't care about saving money on the projects?
Right.
What if there's like a really rich 75-year-old woman that just wants to blow money because she doesn't want any of her grandkids to get it?
What if she's vindictive, is what you're saying? Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. You never know. Regardless, when you have downtime in construction, it's not good. You lose workers, because they don't have work. It costs you tons of time, costs you tons of money, and projects don't get delivered on time, that kind of stuff. So there are so many problems to unpack here, just with downtime and whatever else, that you could literally have a sequence just for downtime.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Pax. I hope I said your name right. But he made a comment earlier, call before you ball. I really like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, and speaking of which, Dustin actually had a really good one. So let's I'm gonna actually rewrite this message based on what Dustin put here, because I really like it. It incorporates everything you're saying there, Katie. So what if we just actually did this?
Did you already have this planned? Interesting.
Not, but it kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
Weird.
Oh.
And Paul has a really good question while you're rewriting it. Do you feel the name and company name is warranted in the beginning of the email? Isn't that the purpose of the signature line at the end of the email? What do you think, Jeff?
Oh, genius, Paul. I love it. Absolutely. It's very redundant when you open up that inbox and you have, Katie Ray, subject line, first line of the email, and then you open that up and then you see a signature. You've literally got Katie's name here, here, and here, if that first line is, hi, I'm Katie from Sales Hacker. Right?
You're welcome. Just kidding. Yeah. No one wants to know me that badly.
Okay, so let's get back the email we got. Hi, it's 2021 and the market is changing. What are you doing to ensure downtime and rework doesn't blow your budget out of the water? Okay. What's next, Katie? Gotta have a tie-in.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Gotta have a tie-in. So tie-in. Yeah. Why am I saying this? Explain why I'm saying this.
It looks like the market situation started to change in 2021. So I was wondering if this has affected the amount of downtime and rework on your construction sites. I would add something specific in there. I feel like that just needs like some specific facts so that people know that you're not pulling this out of your butt. You know, I feel like we need a specific fact. And then I asked because we work with technical oversight and communication processes at the site. And we have ways. What I would do, to Dustin's point, I would find a direct competitor that maybe we're working with and reference them and say ABC Construction. Yeah. Exactly what Dustin said. Yeah, ABC Construction has chosen to partner with us to advise on technical oversight and communication processes, or some, I would phrase it something like that makes people say like, oh, they're working with our direct competitor, we want to be better than them, especially in such like an interesting industry like construction. And we have ways to save companies. There's two different points here. I don't know how to separate the two without completely separating the two. Oh my gosh. Did you write? Oh, were you writing that in real time?
Yeah.
I was like, that's exactly what I said.
Okay, so it's 2021 and the market is changing. What are you doing to ensure downtime and rework doesn't blow your budget out of the water? ABC Construction has chosen to partner with us on technical processes and oversight to reduce downtime
and save money. It's so hard. And like, I bet everyone on this call has dealt with this, of like this internal struggle of wanting to make it sound fancier.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, there's so much discussion around like, do we make it really fancy and say like, partner on technical processes and oversight to reduce downtime and cut costs or something. I don't even know. That doesn't even, it's just like, and I'd be curious because this is something I struggle with too, is like, how do we know, when do we make it sound like really fancy, right? Like obviously with a construction company, like maybe there could be that assumption of, oh, let's not use super big words and make it super easy, but you know, you still want to treat them with respect. But then there's the other side of like, they haven't earned your respect and vice versa. Like there's so many different thoughts of mine. I'd be curious what everyone else thinks. Oh, hey, Tom.
Let's see, we got it. Okay, everybody's flip it. So we put the first question on a separate line. Okay, separate line.
I like that.
Okay, market is changing. Bam. What are you doing to ensure downtime and rework doesn't blow your budget out of the water?
Oh yeah, I agree. Let's take the third paragraph, move it to the second.
Okay.
No.
Third paragraph.
The first paragraph and move it to the third paragraph.
Okay.
Take the second paragraph and move it to the...
Hey, this is the first time we're doing this. Okay, this is tough.
Perfect. It's work is changing. Yeah, I would definitely add like...
Just kidding.
Oh, interesting. You would open with the question. Interesting. I feel like if you open with the question, you'll have to change what the first line is.
Oh, I love this. This is a debate. I kind of want to get, you know what? I want to get Tom and Dustin on here to actually talk this out.
Yeah, because I've got questions. Everybody?
Okay, let's get Katie, can you get Tom on?
Yeah.
Tom on here and Dustin, because it seems like they're on the opposite sides here.
I need you to make me a host.
Are you not a host?
No.
What the deuce?
Dustin's probably more of a host than I am now. Hey, Dustin.
How's it going? I'm not trying to battle anyone here. Just let the record show that.
I'm always up for a little round of fisticuffs.
We're gonna write this email in 3 minutes.
Battle Royale.
We're gonna write this email in 3 minutes, okay? So we're gonna Franken write this together. Okay.
I love it.
So, Tom, you on here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I was just saying, take that question at the bottom. What are you doing to ensure downtime and rework, and open with that. And then say it's 2021 and the market is changing.
Oh,
ABC Construction has chosen to partner with us with specific processes and the way you solve their oversight to reduce time. But then there needs to be a piece in here what's specific to this company, though. So that first question, what are you doing to ensure downtime and rework doesn't blow your budget out of the water? How do you know that? Or is there a way for you to identify that they are doing that today that you can tag in that line?
Could we?
And then say it's 2021, the market's changing. We've worked with ABC Construction, and this is why this is what we did for them.
That's where I think the tie-in is, Tom. I don't think necessarily that you need to. I mean, I wrote it, I guess, but I like the first line. But I agree. You need to add something at the end, maybe, where ABC Construction, has trusted us, with their processes and oversight to reduce downtime by X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Could we also then take out it's 2021 and the market's changing? Because I feel like that's awkward.
It's irrelevant. It really is.
So
it's an irrelevant line. That could be where you personalize to them instead.
So like, we noticed that you're doing all these projects, or like, I just did a quick Google search and saw
your LinkedIn post that said this, ABC Construction chose to partner with us, and this is how we did it for them. Would you be open to exploring how this would work in your processes?
Yeah. That's why if you were going to keep it, I think you have to keep it in the very first line as like almost like a handshake. I do agree. I think it's irrelevant. What you could additionally do there is you could kind of turn it into like some sort of a humor line as well, right? Like, it's 2021 and the market's changing more than my wife before date night, or something like that. Like,
well, what's the ICP? What's the ICP who's the target?
Yeah.
I think we just need to pause on that for a second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like instead of that, you should be like, the market's changing more than my wife's mind on date night for what to eat. Because I feel like that's more relevant.
Yeah,
how many of you have significant others and they're like, I'm fine wherever you want to eat?
It's so true.
And I know it's a lie. It's a lie I proudly tell.
Because then we say, all right, let's go get pizza. Well, we had pizza last week.
I can only go to Buffalo Wild Wings so many times. I don't know what they want from me.
So, yeah.
Okay. So we've added a little bit of personalization. We're pretending like somebody did this LinkedIn post. Okay. So we say, saw your LinkedIn post on downtime holding back whatever company it is in 2020. What are you doing to ensure downtime and rework doesn't blow your budget out of the water this year?
Yeah. To Ashley's point, I would make that a second. I would double space that and bring that down.
Bring that down?
Yep, bring that line down. Yep, there you go.
Boom. This is money.
That's it.
I love that.
Is this a beauty? Did we just write a killer first touch email? Yeah. So now the reworked version, we're going to say absolutely, right?
1000%.
Right on. Thank you, Dustin and Tom, for joining us.
Do you want pizza?
Next sequence. Okay, Katie, that was fun. So let's go right into 3 takeaways for this one. What was one thing we learned from rewriting this email?
Let's make it personalized.
Yep.
Dustin, what would you take away? Oh, you're muted now.
Yeah.
Oh.
We got to move on to the next one.
Hold up, I can type. I would say personalized, concise. Yeah.
All right.
Dustin, we're like twins.
Okay.
We've never really talked before, but we're really on par together.
Everybody said this, be concise.
I know.
Let's just break the mold here and make it personal. Forget one thing. We'll do 3 things, okay? And then add call steps if needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? because that's 3 things we talked about. Oh, Tom loves the humor. Okay. Next one, we've got review 2.3. So this is really fun. We actually had the gentleman who did this, he got a review on one of our first sequence practices ever. And at the time he was at 5% response rate. Now I just want to say I'm really proud of Travis for doing this. 30% response.
Wow,
yeah, through this
that's
sequence.
amazing.
So I want to get Travis on here to talk about it real quick and just tell if you're cool with that, Travis. Please tell us about this sequence and why it rocks.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I was mentioning to you, Jeff, this is similar to a sequence I've been using, and getting 30% on this one is for a different product, so it's slightly different. And I'm just kind of starting out with this one, trying to see if that old sequence works on this new product with these new customers. And yeah, so I'm kind of hoping to see if you guys have any interesting feedback. But like I said, the sequence that's working for me, I mean, I just kind of took some of the advice that you guys gave me the first time I was on, kind of incorporated a lot of those things, and just kind of started playing around with it and landed on something that worked. So
yeah, well, I mean, you've obviously struck something here. 30% is fantastic, my friend. And you did confirm to me too that 30% was enough to actually help you meet your targets too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
so it's a lot of work. You gotta keep sending those emails, but yeah, it works.
Yeah. Well, and with that said, I just want to say, and everybody, please respect Travis for this, because he does all of these sequences manual.
That's amazing.
Every touch. So
Yeesh.
yeah, and Beth is on the call here. Let's get him that help, hey? Let's get him that help. But Beth is his boss, just so you know. So okay. Thank you, Travis.
Hey Beth, I've got a great product for you. It's called Outreach. Don't know if you've heard of it before.
Have you heard of it? Yeah, right on. So
we know about it.
Beth is like, enough already. We've been talking about this since November. Okay, so so Travis's killer sequence, step 1 is a manual new. Like I said, all of them are manual. The step 2 is a LinkedIn connection with a note. And then he's got some bump emails in after that. In fact, I did a typo. This is supposed to be step 5. No, that was right. Okay, cool. So what do you think, Katie?
The only other thing that I would change maybe is adding a video in there. I know it takes a little bit longer, and you're already unfortunately having to manually do this, which takes so much time from closing more deals and getting more business because you're having to manually do this. But having some type of video aspect, I think, did Beth pay to say that? No. But I think that always just adds like a very special touch. So, and if you think about it too, so you're targeting research doctors at labs. The first SaaS startup I worked for was a review generation company, and I targeted SMB. And one of the most challenging things was like competing with, there's just so much noise. There's so much noise, especially in some of these like more SMB mid market. So you have to figure out ways to differentiate yourself. I would say if it was me, I would run a special campaign at the very beginning of step 1, also writing a handwritten letter. Because if you think about like who your ICP is, they can oftentimes be a little bit more tenured and appreciate and respect a letter or something handwritten better if you have the budget for that. But if not, I would add a video probably around step 4, either in the email or like message them on LinkedIn too. I agree with Jeff. I also would probably add a call in right around 3 as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, so for me, I like Katie. I like the concept of video. Is that personal? So Travis, just for your reference, for everybody watching, was door to door. Not door to door, but he was field sales. So he was actually going in and to these people's offices. So his whole process was really around that personal touch. So I could see adding the video doing a lot to kind of maintain that relationship that he had, and kind of build on that moving forward with things like this. So definitely video. So I'm one of my go-tos here is that to actually add but Travis is saying that he's had minimal success with phone calls. He tries it, but doesn't have success. So quick question, Travis, and doing this, looking on the chat, do you think that's because the audience is not receptive to calls, or do you think that there's just some work that might need to be done on your actual cold calling process? And just for everybody listening at home, he knows his audience better than we do. So he's going to know better if they actually do respond to calls. So he says that a lot of them are actually out of office. So that makes sense. If they're not at the office, you're not really going to get them. So it might be the fact that you might need to have a good data provider to find mobile phone numbers, or some type of other approach. If you're not going to step on privacy laws or anything like that. So awesome. So let's take a look at one of his messages here. Okay, you get the honors once again.
I really appreciate that. You think I read that quickly?
Do you want me to go first?
Yes, you can go first. I don't read that quickly.
Okay, well, let's start. Okay, first, we just rewrote an email and started with an illuminating question, right? Mm-hmm. So what am I seeing here? I'm seeing that Travis starts his email with an illuminating question, gets me thinking about new technology enabling easy access. It's not about the technology, it's about what the technology is doing. Mm-hmm. So I really like this a lot because it's specific to what this audience actually wants to see. It's about their chemical library screens. Like, I don't know anything about this, so sorry to everybody that I'm going to butcher this, but what I'm seeing is that it's specific to something that they care about. It's talking about technology, but in the sense of like what it's enabling them to do. It's not about, my technology is the best and it's used by this and that, whatever. And so I really love that first line. That to me stands out 100%. What do you think?
So I was just like, of course it starts with a question. That's great. I love that. I also think I don't ever want to work in this industry because it'd be really over my head. But one thing I actually really like is the last question. I usually oftentimes skip over the big middle personally. I just don't have time for that. And so I'll just read the first line and then the last line usually, because I'm like, what are they wanting from me? And I like this. Are you available for a short call around 20 minutes to meet and discuss how this tech could fit in with the work of the molecular biology core and its collaborators? I'm a really big fan of putting like specific times, and I like how this says around 20 minutes. Once you get on the phone with them, I think it's incredibly important to preface the conversation of like, hey, I really appreciate your time, Annette. Like I said in the email, we're going to keep this to around 20 minutes. I'm actually going to set a timer. And at that point, and this is a big thing Richard Harris preaches, if you've ever read any of his thing, but I'm a big fan of, hey, I'm going to set a timer. Once we get to about 5 minutes till the end of our 20-minute session, if we decide to continue, let's do that. But if you want to schedule another call, we can do that. Or if you think that this just isn't the right thing, no big deal. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off of the person. You just have to continue that almost laissez-faire mentality throughout the whole time. And that's how you're going to keep them really disarmed of like, hey, at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that this works for you. And if it doesn't, then it just doesn't. Right. And this, whenever you talk about field sales, this is something I think is really important in field sales, is this more relationship focused instead of more transactional, right? And so I think you have a really cool opportunity to keep it very calm and like, hey, I hope this works. If not, like, then it doesn't. What do I think about asking for time on the first email? I know a lot of people will disagree with me. I'm a big fan for it. I think you should try and close on everything that you do. But I also think like you just have to be really on par and like incredibly respectful of like, hey, I know I'm taking 20 minutes out of your day. Here's what we're going to discuss. Anything else, right? I know people probably have a very different opinion about asking for time. So
for me, this is interesting. So I'm going to break two of my rules here. One, I don't mind. One of the big things that I don't like about most sales emails, it's very jargon heavy, very complex, right? In this case, I think that the way Travis put this together, it's very, even when you say it out loud, it doesn't sound too jargony, but it is, and it is on purpose. You're going after doctors at chemical labs. Like these are people that respect the big words. They respect the stuff. They read long-winded documents all day. So like you don't necessarily have to kind of dumb this down like you do with most sales emails to make it super simple. So I don't actually mind the kind of longer-winded sentences in this case and the higher words. So this is the kind of thing when we talk about best practices. I never use the term best practices because when something's a best practice, it's not useful anymore because everybody's doing it. And there's no one way to do everything. And the key is here, know your audience and write to it. And I think it's very good there. The second thing is that I never advocate asking for time in the first email. I'm all about give first and then earn the right to ask. And that's really what I believe. But again, if you know your audience, if they're responding 30% to this sequence, then clearly you're doing something right. And if you find through testing that asking for the call right up front works, then by all means do it. Because like Katie said, hey, if we can close on the first deal, why wouldn't we? Like, you'd be crazy not to, right? But the third thing I want to point out, though, is that I agree with you, Katie. I think that there's probably more that can be done to kind of, trim that second section down to make it a little more bite-sized, maybe even trimming it into 2 separate sentences. But the one thing that I'm going to say, though, is that the great first line earns the right for someone to read that second line.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree.
Right. But one of the things that I would like to point out, and this is a very common thing, this is some amazing people have taught people how to write this way, that I'm reaching out because when you're in a cold call, this is really important, that reason why I'm calling, that kind of stuff. It kind of disarms people, opens them up. In an email, it's not necessarily important. Again, it's not wasted space. It's not bad. It's just one of those things that might not be necessary there, and you might be able to trim some words there by just going straight into what you're trying to say. Okay, so with that said, Dustin asks, could this be a benefit from a relevant case study or social proof? In this case, I don't think you need to at this point. If somebody's just ignoring you, or like somebody's going to read this and they're either going to ignore it or they're just going to say no right away. I don't know if a case study is really going to make a humongous impact at this point. Most people will ignore, if anything. What's really cool about a sequence is you're doing multiple touch points. So I like to put case studies and social proof kind of later on. The first message to me is really all about just proving the concept. Is this a priority? Is this something you care about? Is this problem something you've thought about? So it doesn't necessarily need to be a social proof or case study, because again, this is about them. It's not about you. What do you think, Katie?
Yeah, I really like it. I wouldn't add a case study until like my second or third email.
Yeah,
to kind of bolster.
Yeah, awesome. So let's now we've got one more sequence to review. There's lots of good stuff here, Travis. I mean, what would be one key takeaway you have for this? What do you think would be one thing that Travis should do to maybe get 40% response rates?
I would shorten the middle paragraph. I think that they could be 2 shorter sentences. Sorry if you hear my dogs.
In the middle paragraph, so basically be concise.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got another one for being concise. That's awesome. So, and now for our last sequence review of the day, we have CL. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. So we don't allow her to. CL, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. So I probably pronounced your name horribly. Sorry about that.
Okay, it's okay.
So yeah, tell us about your sequence.
It's quite a long sequence, I see. It's many steps. The first oh no, that is the first part. Yeah, it's an outbound sequence, and we're targeting mid-sized agencies, and our ideal role within the company is the operation manager or the CEO. And we try to personalize in the first email, but then the follow-up emails are rather automated, and we combine several channels: email, phone, LinkedIn. Yeah,
that's awesome. So if you were going to choose one of the 3 channels, what one really gets the most response for you?
Email, I would say.
Okay.
Because we're working in Europe, and a lot of people are also working from home or working remotely. So it's hard to reach them currently on the phone.
Gotcha, makes sense. Yeah, this is a common complaint for a lot of people these days. Is everybody working from home? It's hard to get the home phone numbers. So really quickly before we get into reviewing your sequence, what is your customer trying to do that they're having trouble with, and how you help them?
Well, we're targeting agencies like a marketing or advertisement agency, and the tool that we're offering is a tool that can help them to make their operational processes more efficient. So it's about a tool that can help you to manage your customers, creating offers, following up on projects, doing time tracking. And we see that a lot of agencies are working with different tools, like a project management tool, a CRM system, a financing tool, but they don't have a combination of all those processes in one tool. And we have a solution that is the best in the market and that can help them a lot.
So so I'll just ask one last question, then we'll move on to the review. But why do your customers care? So why do they care about being more efficient?
Because currently in the agency world, you need to really think about the budget that you're spending, the cost that you're making. And if you don't see what your team is working on and how many hours that they're doing, or how much that costs to you, then you're losing revenue, you're not working efficient, and then other companies that are making revenue will grow and will be able to get bigger projects, bigger brands than you will have.
Gotcha. So realistically, it's about survival mode. It's about protecting your competitive landscape. It's saying, if I'm inefficient, I'm not able to be as effective as some of my competitors might, and I might lose clients to them.
Yeah, indeed, because it's really it's a competitive landscape indeed, and if you're not on top of your budgets and your revenue, then your agency is getting smaller and smaller, and you will not be able to hire the best people, for example. And in an agency, you need to have the best people to convince the bigger brands to work together with you. Gotcha.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for submitting this. So, Katie, I'll let you get started on what are your thoughts on this?
Well, Paul asked a good question. Are you leaving a voicemail every time you make a call? I don't know if you're muted, if you wouldn't mind dropping that in the chat, because I'm also curious about that.
No, we're not. No, we're not leaving a voicemail.
Okay, so I am also going to be super old school. I can't stand when people don't leave voicemails. I hate it because I call them back and then I'm like, I feel bait and switched, right? Like for me personally, I think it's like a really, pardon language, shitty thing to do personally, right? I am not a fan of it. Nothing's worse, than calling someone back and they're like, oh, well, we just helped the Fosters down the street and they have an ant problem and we want to, and I'm like, I have a great bug guy. I don't need you. I don't want to call you. I wouldn't have called you if I knew who you were. Like, are you really that busy where you don't have, 15, 20 seconds to just leave a voicemail? And if that's not the reason why you don't leave them, what is it? Are you not confident on voicemails? Like, are these things that can be coached or trained? So that's just like my overarching, regardless of who you are, it's just something that always drives me nutty. But I'm also like a slightly anxious person. So I'm always like, oh my gosh, what if it's a doctor's office from 2 years ago when I had a full panel done and now they just realized that my results were bad and I have cancer? Like, what if it's something ridiculous? So I'm also like, take it with a grain of salt. I also think, I'm a sucker for long sequences. So 54 days, I actually really like because you have a really cool opportunity to make it very sticky and to really build this impression in front of, this potential customer. I also think if we're looking at ops directors, we need to be very cautious of what we're putting in front of them because they don't have time, right? Like we need to just assume oftentimes that whoever you're prospecting doesn't have time, right? They're busy trying to make companies work. And so like take that with a grain of salt as well. But I'm a big sucker of really long sequences. So yeah, this ghost crap. I think it's just something that people put on LinkedIn to see. I think it's like a social experiment on social conformity. I know that's a little conspiracy theorist, and I promise that's not my normal go-to, but I'm just not a fan personally.
Okay, no. I love that, Katie. No conspiracy theories here. We're good. But I agree. I do agree that ops people are super busy, like pretty much all of us these days. There's so many priorities all the time. And so it does make sense to kind of stretch out that sequence. But I'd like to see with 14 touches, it's pretty safe to say like when every second touch is a phone call, you should be able to do that in about 3 to 4 weeks. I like to do 3 to 4 weeks of a heavy touch, annoy them into talking to you, and then kind of moving on, to your next set of prospects, and then, putting them on a recycle nurture stream. So I like to get my sales sequences really quick, snappy, and to the point, and let people know I'm trying to get in touch with you. And that actually goes to Katie's point is that, and Paul's actually is your voicemail is your 30-second commercial. It lets people know that you're doing something, you're trying to reach out, and why. And so a tip I got from Jason Bay that was really good is every time you leave a voicemail, let them know that you're going to leave you're going to be sending them an email.
Yeah.
So, or talk about the email that you sent, kind of thing. One of the really cool tips I've been hearing recently is, hey, it's Jeff. I'm going to send you an email tomorrow with the subject line ... And boom, you've got yourself somebody that's maybe they're listening to the voicemail, they don't call you back, but they will look for that email and they'll look for that signature line, even if by accident, because it's psychology. It lets people know what to look for. And even if they're trying to ignore it, they're going to do it. They're going to see it. So if I'm going to say, I love the multi-channel, three different channels, LinkedIn, phone, and email. High five, CL. You and your team are awesome. I love that. But yeah, like I said, my 2 things for this is trim it down and then add voicemail.
Yeah. And I think like there's something really interesting that many of us may not think about because we don't come from this background. But like, think about your time in school and think about like how frustrating it was for you whenever your teacher would only lecture, and that may not have been your best learning style, right? Like you may have been more hands-on. Like for me, I need to try and process and then try and teach you, and then I'll usually feel really comfortable about the information, right? So think about that whenever you go through all these different touches and these different resources and channels, is everyone retains information differently. And by using a multi-channel approach, you're probably going to hit them in one way or another. So don't be discouraged, especially on this more like SMB mid-market space where, you know, you'll talk to 100 people and 50 of the 100 are like, don't send me a video ever again. Like that's stupid, you know, but all it takes is, you know, that video to hit one person that would watch the video and would appreciate that to get you $100,000 deal. Right. And so I think that's something like incredibly important, is just because it doesn't work for one person or one person isn't receptive doesn't mean you should always, you know, nix everything, because we all learn and look at information differently. For instance, for me, I will literally open up my email on my phone and then do the multi-check through and delete everything unless it's like exactly for me. That's not how I respond to things. Jeff knows. I get a LinkedIn message, I respond like that. So it's really important to think about, you know, who you're talking to and be willing to put in the work. And I know like it's so much easier said than done, right? Like we've got 100 calls plus a day that we have to make. We've got our email metrics. We've got our talk time metrics. We have so many metrics. And so it's hard to be custom and personalized. But whenever you do take the time and you show that your boss is the success that's coming from taking that time, like it's amazing what you'll be able to do. And yeah, that's my stick, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it, Katie. Thank you. So just in the interest of time, we're just going to go with one step. And because we've already reviewed a couple first steps, I'm going to go right to step 8, which is a LinkedIn in-mail or LinkedIn message. And so, Katie, what's your thoughts on this one?
And I'm going to say something. Okay. I love the first paragraph. Is the company Yadera? Is that the company?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't even put that in there necessarily. Like, I feel like there definitely has to be ways. Well, first off, you know, I don't accept connection requests like this.
Well, this is a message, so it's an
in-mail. Oh yeah. Then if it's an in-mail, I don't think there's. I think it is fine-ish for an in-mail. I would never put this in a connection request.
Yeah.
I also think it's incredibly presumptuous to ask to get on a call the next day and give 2 times. I understand why you put that in there. And I think it's something that we as like sellers are oftentimes trained to do as we get started, is to give them the option so they can't say no, right? You giving them 2 options, it'll at least say yes to one of them. But
yeah, I'm gonna probably say it'd be more like, can I give you a call this week or next, if you're gonna do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like we've all been taught to be specific. Like that's how we've been taught for a long time. Specific means that they can, you know, they have a really good idea, and it makes your prospect not have to think. But the fact of the matter is you're giving them a yes or no answer. You know, you're encouraging a yes or no answer. At least if it's this week or next, it's flexible, it's respecting their time, and it's not necessarily committal. So it is a little better to do it that way. I'd have to agree with you, Katie. Like this isn't necessary. You know what the bridging the gap. I think that for a LinkedIn message, you have to remember like a good way to think about LinkedIn messages is grab your phone, like just grab your phone, write it out on here and see how long it is and what it looks like on a phone. Because most people look at their social on their phone.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you're glancing at your messages, you're going to look at it on the, you know, the notification, and then you're going to go in and you're going to look at it on your phone. So what a great rule to follow, a simple rule to follow for this is try to make it so that it only fits in here and here. Okay, so like if maybe 2 paragraphs at the most and really short. So just what I recommend is just take this message, rewrite it to fit that, and just cut out anything that's not required.
I also think too, and I would love to hear like other people's opinions on this, is the difference between would it be better for a call this week or next versus can I give you a call this week or next? Because you're asking 2 different things, I think, whenever you say that. So I would just be curious on what other people think about it. Because partially, I would normally lean to would this week or next work better for a call, because I feel like usually the automated response to that is this week it doesn't work, next week is better. Then you can say, okay, great. Does Monday at this time or Wednesday at this time, or that's usually where I would go instead, because I feel like can is just opening up for like a hard no. But that's
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So then what you want to do as well is just really have a tie-in here. So let them know you're asking for a call at the end of this. So first, I really wouldn't recommend asking for a call in a LinkedIn touch. I know it is step 8, so it is deep into the process and it's ask time. It truly is. But LinkedIn messages, when it's your first one that you send, they tend to not really respond very well if it's for an ask. Other people might have different opinions, but I haven't seen very much success with it with me, my customers, my colleagues, anybody. So it might be more interesting for you to take this second line here, so this one right here, and rewrite that to be something about a promise, some type of give. So really talk about, okay, if you're up for it, I'd like to show you how agencies like Made, we want more, update their customers on ongoing projects. Would this week work, or this week or next work better for a call?
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Awesome. Okay, so that's great question, CL. So I would say that I would send us a connection request earlier in the process with no note, and then have this as a message that you send around step 8. So maybe like step 2 or 3, then you add a connection request with no note, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'm also a big fan of like, part of me is like, just scrap all of it and be like, hey, I really liked your post the other day. I had some questions around this, or, be relevant and bring up something that they actually share or post or like about, like, not in a creepy way, but if you're connected with them, like oftentimes you can see if they're in there. But then also if you connect with them or it takes a while to get connected, you could be like, I don't know if I want to make my ask to someone who's never on LinkedIn versus putting the ask in an email. So that's what I would look at, is like, are they connected? If they've got five connections, you may not want to put like the big ask in the LinkedIn email.
Right. Yeah, 100%. No, we've had, thank you, Katie. This has been awesome. I'm sorry that Josh didn't show up, but I hope that Katie and I held fort pretty well for him. So just want to say to everybody looking in, most of you know me, most of you know what we're doing here, but if you are struggling to book meetings, by all means, submit your sequence to RevUp, and we can either have you on the next sequence practice, or we can even do a one-on-one depending on what you need. So be sure to go to revup90.com/submissions. So yeah, thanks everybody for attending today. Love the comments. Loved that people were able to step up and be part of the show. So have a great day and talk to you later.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Jeff. See you later, friends.